Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Today, I want to uh, answer a question that many people have asked me: why do writing on Voice Church? For those who are meeting the word Voice for the first time, Voice is an abbreviation of the Voice of Salvation and Healing Church. Voice is one of the earliest African indigenous Pentecostal churches that was registered by the colonial government in Kenya. But to be precise, uh, Voice was registered in 1956, 15th of May. And by God's grace, God later abandoned me to do writings specifically on Bosch. And the year that all this began, way back in the year 2010, that's when the Lord laid in my heart to do something on Bosch. And I trusted God to do it in a very systematic way and scholarly manner also, because I wanted something that can stand the test of time. And by God's grace, I managed to get access or to talk to pioneers of this church, those who are there at the present time when the registration took place. Although they were aged and advanced in years, but God gave me the grace to meet them before they died or before they went to be with the Lord. They gave me a lot of information, firsthand actually, and God also helped me to get access also to the original file at the Attorney General's office in Nairobi. So most of the documentation I had to compile, come up with this work was raw and from, let me use the word first-hand information. Anyway, that aside, my first book on Bosch was this one, The History of Voice of Salvation and Healing Church, which I did in the year 2014. And by that time, it was out of my master's thesis, which I did in Kenyatta University, MA in Religious Studies. So out of that work, I came up with this book and other books that I'm not going to talk about today. So today I'm focusing about Bosch history book, which I've done a second edition, which is here, The History of the Voice of Salvation and Healing Church, second edition. Now, the reason why I did the second edition, before I go to why I'm writing about Bosch, is because time has elapsed and there are so many gaps I wanted to fill in that I felt were necessary. But why Bosch? One, as I've said, that Bosch started way back during the colonial government. And apparently, since that time until the year 2010, when I started the doing research about this church, there was no any clear systematic study and documentation about the church. Having been born and raised in the church, I felt there was a gap. And I trusted God to use me to fill that gap. God had raised people in the church in various spheres, but I felt when it comes to scholarly documentation, this one had not taken place. So I felt I needed to come in to bridge that gap for posterity, because I felt there are so many lessons generations to come were going to miss that we needed to do and to document. And what challenged me to do this is because when I could hear testimonies of the past years, how God used our forefathers in the faith in the church, those who began the church. But I said, where can we get this information? Because we're just being told this orally. Equally, I was challenged especially with the life of Jesus. Jesus Christ, when he was on earth, he did his work. At the end of the day, he went back. But it is his followers, or the people who heard his message, who took their time to document what we have as Gospels today. But Jesus himself did not document anything. So I felt equally it was divine that God had brought me and placed me in Voice Church at a time like this. I felt that was my purpose in Voice Church. So I embraced it wholeheartedly. Of course, I must confess it wasn't easy. It was challenging because it needed time, but most importantly, it needed resources. But God helped me the little I could. I squeezed, and I managed to compile the first document or the first book on Voice. The second reason why I'm doing about Voice is because I feel what I felt, that it is my little contribution to the church. I know the church has produced many evangelists, many teachers of the word, many gospel singers, name it, prophets. But I felt in the scholarly circles, I felt there was a gap. So I felt this was my contribution to the church. At least one day, if God asked me, I placed you in Voice Church, what did you do? I said, this would be a good opportunity to respond that, Lord, you gave me an idea, you gave me a vision, and this is exactly what I came up with. Again, apart from this, about the history itself, I've discussed a few pioneers in my other writings. So another reason why I focus on Voice is because I felt there are many people, men and women, that God raised in Voice Church, and their life histories are not documented. I felt it was my also contribution to their life and their ministry, and all in all, for the glory of God. So those are the key things, or the key reasons why I'm so much in writing about Voice Church. And I'm proud of what God is doing. And I'm also proud of what God is doing in Voice Church. It's my prayer that this is not the end of everything, but we'll still continue to do more and more. And even as we wind up towards this discussion, I want to urge all of us and ask each one of us, if you are not read the first book, it's not late. You can still acquire a copy. If you want the second edition, which is more elaborate, it's also here. It's available. You can access it, and you can also inbox so that you get more information on how you can get it. Thank you so much. Be blessed.